welcome to Pages and Pages. Today we're going to be doing a book review on The Girl Who Circumnavigated Fairyland in a Ship of Her Own Making by Catherine M. Valente. By Catherine M. Valente. This was a fantastic fairy tale-esque children's story, kind of Narnia-ish, a little bit. You have this girl, September, who falls into fairyland and then has some pretty great adventures. So my overall impression from this book, I think Catherine M. Valente is probably the kind of gal who is dressed up as Rosie the Riveter more than once for Halloween. Like, that might be her go-to Halloween costume. Catherine probably knows how to fold fitted bed sheets, because there is so much magic in this book that's tucked in with all the corners, and I have no idea how she did it. The characters, the settings, and just the whole structure of Fairyland is so imaginative and wonderful that I can't imagine it being any other way, and I can't imagine how she imagined it. Some of the first people that September meets in Fairyland are three witches named Hello, Goodbye, and Many Things. And I loved these characters because they struck me straight away. You have a trio of witches, which is very Shakespearean, you know? But then hello and goodbye are kind of opposites in many things, and as greetings. So it seemed like, oh, they're not quite Shakespearean Macbethy kind of witches, which they kind of are with their, you know, cauldron and all of that. But they also are kind of Greek gods a little bit. So maybe they're more like the Fates, or maybe there's a little bit of Janus kind of going on, you know, where you have like one head facing this way and another facing the other way. So I appreciated those characters straight off because of this kind of immediate like click I had that connected them to all of these like strong historical characters too, where you have these characters who are recognizable as like classic kind of characters, but they're also very much their own. So another really interesting thing that happened in this book is that there's a herd of bicycles that like just rolls down the plain, if you will, and it's awesome because it feels like a Western in that moment. So I was getting like Firefly flashbacks, you know, where I'm like, man, this is how you herd things. But then it's also like totally steampunk or whatever, because the bicycles aren't just bicycles, they're like fancy old bicycles where the front wheel is huge and the bottom, you know. So that was another really fun kind of layered aspect to this. Another example is King Arthur. You have this sword quest that happens where she goes to find this sword, and it's very, very King Arthur. But there's a twist on it, like all of the other things. So those are just some of the examples of the amazing ways that she took these old stories, made them her own, transformed them into something new, and like put so many of them in the same 200 pages. It was phenomenal that way. One thing that I think could have been different is the queen, who is the villain. Maybe this is reaching too far and trying to make a children's book too much, but I think it would have been really interesting had the queen been September's own shadow, which she which she parted with towards the beginning of the story. I think it would have been interesting if she had had to confront herself rather than another character who shares a lot of the same character traits as her, but is a different character. So you don't have quite the same level of self-reflection that you could have had if it had been September's shadow who is the queen. Besides, then you would get to say that there is a Queen of Shadows. But this is a children's book, and maybe I wanted to do too much. There's so many fantastic characters in this, very magical, and I really enjoyed it. I would recommend it. I think I haven't even rated it on Goodreads yet. I think it might be a 4-star because of those weighty historical elements. So that is my review for The Girl Who Circumnavigated Fairyland in a Ship of Her Own Making. And I think it is a really good fairy tale. And I'm curious what you think makes a fairy tale great, especially fairy tale retellings, because we've heard the classic fairy tales 1,000 times, but when there is a retelling, what gives it that extra oomph to take it from like that story you always know to like this was awesome and its own thing entirely? I'd be really curious to hear what your thoughts are about that. So I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching this video and have a lovely day. Goodbye.